And I look on my phone because it's on the pillow, and I have a big old iPhone, or not iPhone, the Note, so it's a big old screen. And I look, and there's something behind me. Now I'm at the edge of the bed, looking the opposite way, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, "What's that?" And I just sort of look, and I'm just like looking up, and it's this massive alien insect creature that's standing at least 10 feet tall. You would have some kind of fear, like, something, it was more like, oh my gosh. And I remember the first things in my mind to think was, you're back, you're here again. Like, I've missed you, like it was sort of like a reunion. You stand in front of this mirror, and what's looking back at me is an insect being with red eyes, massive, just really cool looking, like just really just, it was darker green. I mean, it was way different from the one that I've seen. And it was me. It was showing me that was me. And I took from that is, with all the research that I've done, is that they keep track of their own souls, that they keep track of their souls that come from wherever they come from.
Welcome, everyone, to Cosmic Convergence, where we delve into the fascinating world of extraterrestrial intelligence, consciousness, and the mysteries of the universe. My name is Daniel, and I'm joined here with my co-hosts, John and Christian. Today, we welcome on the podcast Anthony, who is an experiencer of the phenomenon. Anthony's family has had multiple contact events for generations, and today, he shares his experience with a Mantis being and what he has learned since having these encounters. Thank you for joining us today, Anthony.
Thank you,
Hello.
Anthony.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, first of all, I just want to say again, thank you for joining us. So excited to talk because coming across you online, we saw there was like connecting points with our own experiences that you've had as well with the NHI, with this Mantis being, and really want to get into the meat and potatoes of your experience and what you've learned thus far. But also, I would love to start off with what was your first encounter, and kind of where has your family had experiences as well?
Oh, well, I can go back generations. I really start from the beginning. My whole family that we've come to know, that they are all experiencers. They're all from our bloodline is actually from the Aztec pyramids. We are
Awesome.
Chichimeca. That's the tribe we come from, that our blood is from. Uh, we found all this out by long lost family. Found us actually probably about maybe half a year after my experience, and they found us and they're telling us, we're your long lost family, and we got to know them, and turns out that they're all experiencers as well. And I never told them anything about me. I was very quiet at that time. I was going through some crazy, earth shattering experiences, and I was still adjusting. And I felt that it all happened like how it was supposed to, because
Mm-hmm.
them finding us right when I was like really just losing my mind. I was just all like, the universe is shattering, like there's aliens, and they're getting me, and it was just like, it was so scary, and so like, I mean, it messed with my relationship at the time, and I mean, I was just really just losing it. At the same time, I started diving into it and looking into stuff, and just researching, and it was just so much information at one time. I feel that I lost my mind for a bit. When they came and found us, it was just sort of like in the nick of time, and them just coming down and saying, "Do you believe in aliens?" And I was like, "What? Try me." And they're like telling me, "Yeah, your uncles and your great grandfathers and your grandfathers before them, and they're all like, abductees, and it's like in your family." And so they
Mm-hmm.
start telling me their experiences. And my uncle, my great uncle, he's like 80 something. He was telling me just like his sister was taken, he's been taken all his life, his mother was taken. It was just like, just telling me all this stuff. My cousins, uh, they're all musicians. They're all very creative people, which actually fits in the lore of the whole insectoid thing. It was just very like, wow, like you guys are having like almost the same experience as I'm having, and at the end, they didn't know anything about me. And when I started telling them, it was just like, whoa, you too. And
Mhm.
that right there helped because I think if I didn't have that, and I didn't have my family, my immediate family were very supportive. And I mean, I came straight out of the experiences. I was telling them, like, this is what's happening to me, like, I don't know what to think, like, this is crazy stuff, and
Right.
they're like, trying to be supportive during in the beginning, but they really didn't understand what was going on. So when our family, long lost family, found us, it was sort of like, ooh, nick of time type of thing, and
Mhm.
it got me over that hump, to like, okay, I'm not crazy, I'm not losing my mind, like I did experience these things, and it just sort of made me want to look into it more and stuff, and into our family. We did the whole DNA thing, so it was just sort of like all the stuff is popping up. We're connected. It's all connected.
Yeah.
My mom's a medium. She's always had psychic tendencies. I mean, throughout my life, I could name so many stories that she just knew stuff that was happening. It's like, how did you know that? And now I know. But we find out that her father was a medium. His mother was a medium. So this kind of sensitivity is passed down in our family. My brothers, they all have a little thing that they do. So it's sort of a family thing.
Okay.
And I think that's what when all this stuff started happening to me, it really opened up their minds, and they started realizing all the things that had been happening in our whole history,
Mhm.
and that we keep, sort of overlooking all the crazy stuff that's happened throughout all of our lives, and it's like, oh wow, this is all connected, all means something, and I think when I met the insectoid, that just really just sort of blew everything wide open,
Sure.
it started everything. It was just amazing. It's been an amazing journey since then. So I like to share it and get it out there, but I keep getting called crazy. Like, you're crazy. It's like, what? Like, you never were on another planet. What? You're crazy. What are you smoking? It's always that. So it's like nobody really understands.
Yeah. Well, that paradigm's shifting, my friend. That
Yeah.
paradigm is shifting. And again, not to, sorry to interrupt, but being 52, yeah, I remember like growing up, and everybody's heard this story by now if they watch our podcast. But the only thing that we really had was In Search of by Leonard Nimoy on TV,
Yeah.
and the occasional like maybe one or two special programs a year on the three channels that we could watch. And it was very, very hush hush. Whereas you look at today, it's leaps and bounds better. And so it takes every individual when they feel that they are ready to talk about their experiences, and not be dissuaded by the negative Neds and Nancys that are out there that call
Yeah.
us crazy. That our voices are starting to become louder than theirs, and that's not because we have to shout about it. That's just because we're being factual. They have to shout. We don't, right?
No.
We're just
Right.
saying exactly what's happening. And so, and the family history that you were mentioning, I'm so glad that you had that missing family, members eventually come to
Absolutely.
you. And the timing again sounds perfect. Like it was just,
Mhm.
as you said, things that happen are just meant to be. And
Right.
so, through all of that culmination up to that point, and then finding out and having more affirmation that what
Mhm.
you experienced was not something that was in a bad
Right.
way, right? Yeah, it
Yeah.
expands the mind, sure,
It
right?
does. Yes.
But yeah, you're not doubting yourself so much in your
Right.
experiences, and
No,
that
you
makes a big
accepted it more. Hmm.
that's right. That's right. And
Yeah.
so, really, you're going to be interested here, and because I've watched your interviews as well, and fantastic, and there's a lot to go over. Understand that.
And
Um,
that's not even
yeah.
it's not
Oh, I
even
know. I believe it.
and
So it's like we were introducing ourselves to you, and I'm like, yeah, I could probably take 4 hours just and still not cover everything. So I'm just going to cut it here, and we're going to start recording. But so if you don't mind, could you really start with like your first indication that there was something that wasn't quote unquote normal that was happening to you, your family? I know that you had some experiences with your daughter when she was
Yeah.
very young. If you don't
Mhm.
mind, like starting off with one of those that really just kind of brought it to you, like forward facing.
Yeah. That would be the first time that I met the insectoid. So it was in 2016. We're in the living room. It was nighttime. I don't know, it was around probably 9 o'clock. And it was a nice night. I had the windows open, and we were living in California at the time, San Jacinto, which is sort of like cow country. So you hear there's a lot of farms, so it's really quiet. We're backed up against like this mountain range, kind of large hills. So there's really nothing out there. And so I had the windows and the drapes open and everything. And me and my daughter, she's on my lap and we're watching TV and lights are on, everything. And this massive just beam of light just comes right through my window. And it scanned because we're on the couch sitting right next to the window. And it just sort of went in front of us, hit my TV, and just sort of scanned and then hit us and then went back and then hit us again, and we're just engulfed in this crazy bright white light. Like, I mean, I couldn't even see anything. It was solid. When it scanned the room, all I saw was just white, solid light. I couldn't see through it, and it hit us, and then went back and hit us again, and then it drew back, and then when it drew back, it was like it just you can see it didn't turn off. It just sort of drew back. It was just the craziest thing. And my daughter's looking at me, and I'm like, "What was that?" And I call my mom, I'm calling my brothers. I'm like, "You're not gonna understand what just happened. Like this happened," and they're like, "What?" It sure wasn't a helicopter or something. I'm like, "Hey, there's no noise. Like there's nothing. There's no noise. There's nothing behind me. There's no cars, no streets behind me. It's there's just no way that kind of beam of light can come right in my window and engulf us like that, without any sound or anything, and because I got up and I'm looking, I'm like, what the heck was that? And so everybody, we just sort of blew it off, like we've always done throughout our freaking lives, because we've always had crazy things happen. And a couple days later, that's when it was daytime. It was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and put her down. And I go in my room, and I have some dark curtains and stuff, and closed up, and I'm looking. There's still light in there, but it's a little dark. And I put the monitor on the dresser, and I have my phone on my girlfriend's pillow at the time. And so I'm sitting there. Okay, I look at the monitor, check her, everything's good. It's like 3:09 around there. So I'm like, all right. I turn around, I'm looking at my phone, I start drifting off, and then it happens. Well, we all experience it, that sleep paralysis type, the buzzing, the high pitch, ringing, and then that where it gets really high, and then all of a sudden you just go numb, and you can't move. I have my eyes closed at this time, and I'm like, okay, I know this. This happens all the time. It hasn't happened in a long time. I go, but I know this. And in that moment, I made a decision to just go with it, to accept it, and to just find out what this is. Every other time before that, I would always fight it. I would wake up in the morning. I would wake up hours later. I would like, what happened? It's like you black out and whatever, and you just don't have any memories. It's always happened to me. Missing time is big.
Mm-hmm.
And this time I was just like, I'm accepted. What, I'm ready to go. Let's do this. And my body started rising up off the bed, and I can feel, like, you can feel your body. You're still numb, but you can still feel your body.
It's
You just
strange.
can't move. Yeah, and it had that tingling. You have that kind of pins and needles. But you still feel your body, and I can feel weightlessness, and I just started lifting up, and I only lifted up a couple inches, maybe an inch, 2 inches at the most, and then I started to slide. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna fall off my bed. I'm starting to go at the foot of my bed, and I'm going, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna fall off the bed. What's moving me? And I'm just keep going, and I'm going faster and faster and faster until all of a sudden my stomach gets taken away like you're on a roller coaster ride. And I'm just like, now I can feel me just moving so fast, and I'm thinking like, oh my God, where am I going? Like, why can't I see anything? And I'm thinking like, I need to see where I'm going. And when I thought that, there was like a pin at the end of a long tunnel. It was like a long, long, long tunnel, and you see like the daylight coming through, and it just starts to open, and you're just opening up, and all of a sudden I'm in space,
Hmm.
and I'm just hauling ass in space, like Star Trek style, like just going, and I'm seeing colors of stars and all kinds of stuff just flying past me. I'm just wow, I'm just it felt more like I was two eyeballs flying in space because I didn't
Mhm.
have a body. I didn't remember seeing anything. I don't remember seeing me. I don't remember seeing my nose. I don't remember seeing anything. Just experiencing everything, and the colors were so vivid. They were so just I can't explain it, different colors and stuff. It was just amazing. And I'm going and I stop in front of this massive planet. And this planet, it was green. It had like a green aura around it, and you can see these the cloud covering, and it was zebra kind of shaped,
Hmm.
like pattern, like zebra pattern, like of these
Mhm.
clouds, and it would just sort of look. That's first thing that popped in my mouth. That looks sort of like a zebra pattern. And below, you can see through them. You can see the violets and the greens, like these crazy looking greens and these purplish kind of. Like, nothing was blue. Nothing didn't have the colors that we have on Earth. It was just sort of different kind of violets and green, dark greens and light greens. It was beautiful, and it
Sounds
was just
beautiful.
turning very slowly. And I'm drifting under it. I'm just looking up and just seeing the land masses and the I guess it was water. I don't know. It was different. It was purplish, and I'm just like I'm taking everything in, and I remember sort of looking, like trying to look around. And I remember it was so peaceful, but yet very noisy, and it was like I can hear lots of statics and lots of frequencies and just weird kind of sounds and stuff that you hear, but it was just also very just peaceful. Yeah, and you're just sort of floating there and all these colors and everything around you. When I look down, this vortex just sort of opens up, and you can see the power ring where it was just sort of, and I'm just following this kind of power ring, and it was going clockwise, and I'm following it, and it's going down this tube, and now I'm looking to the tube, and I'm going even faster than before, and now I see other tubes beside me, and it looked like sort of like a highway system. And I'm just sort of looking, and I'm looking around, and we're just going around. You're just like zigging around, zigzagging around, and you go. We went up, and then because you're focusing on going up, and then you can look down through the tube, and you can see the tube just going to go down, sort of like a roller coaster. And then that's when I saw way down at the bottom this bright light, this bright ball of light. I don't know. It looked like to me, I call it a white hole.
Okay.
It looked like the opposite of a black hole.
Mhm.
That's the only way I can explain it. It was coming out of sort of like cosmic cloud type thing. The tubes were intersecting inside this massive white light. Um, Light was just it was like the light that came at me in the bedroom. It was just so bright, and I right there freaked out. I was like, I am going way too far. My daughter is home alone. Like what kind of father am I to be leaving my daughter at home alone? I'm off in the universe. And I just remember being like, I gotta get back. I gotta get back. And that's when I was pulled. I can remember just being pulled back and having that falling feeling that was going back into your body. When you sleep and you kind of have that,
Mhm.
where you just sort of feel like you fell back into your body.
That jolt.
And
Mhm.
yeah, and all of a sudden I could feel like my body again. And I'm like, okay, I can. And starting to feel the feeling started coming back, and I opened my eyes, and I'm like, that was freaking crazy. Like, what was that? And I look on my phone because it's on the pillow, and I have a big old iPhone, or not iPhone, the Note, so it's a big old screen. And I look, and there's something behind me. Now I'm at the edge of the bed, looking towards the opposite way, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, what's that? And I just sort of look, and I'm just like looking up, and it's this massive alien insect creature that's standing at least 10 feet tall, at
Wow.
least. It was hunched over a little bit, and it went above my curtains. And standard roofs are about 12 feet.
Yeah.
And it was at least a foot off from the roof. And it was hunched over. And it was just looking at me, and I was just like, you know, you know, and I just remember, okay, and I remember like not even having any fear. Not, I
Mhm.
mean, you would think you would have some kind of fear, like something. It was more like, oh my gosh. And I remember the first things in my mind to think was, "You're back. You're here again. Like
Mhm.
I've missed you." Like it
Mhm.
was sort of like a reunion, and that's the way it felt. And I felt happy. I felt like I missed it. It was just crazy. It was just a crazy, really wonderful feeling, and it's hard to explain. And I started getting up, and I was gonna say, let's go make some coffee. Like let's have a conversation, like let's get to know each other. I was like down to just have a conversation. And I don't think it liked that much. And it clicked his head over like to the right, sort of like the insect click, and all of a sudden it pulls out. Now it was wearing a suit. It was wearing a triangle. It looked like an upside down pyramid, kind of silverish, kind of shimmery. Had greens. I had like a greenish tint to it. With this, it sort of reminded me of like fish scales, kind of like that. How that kind of shimmers, but
Yes.
definitely not fish scales. But that's what sort of reminded me of. And it had an emblem, which I can't really remember exactly what was inside the emblem, but it was a circle. And the clothes went off the shoulder and it went down to the pyramid to the crotch area. And I didn't see any arms through the time until it actually pulled its arm out of the suit. And I see these long fingers, and it just put its finger right here. And I felt pressure, and I went out. I was just out, and I'm hanging off the bed now. I wake up, and I'm just all like, "What the f was that?" Like what was going on? Like what is my, like, oh my god, I'm losing my mind. And I'm thinking, I'm looking, I'm like, did that really happen? That happened. You go through the whole checklist, go through everything that possibly could have been. You don't really accept it at first. I ran and checked on my daughter, and she was fine. And I'm just like tripping out. I'm calling my girlfriend at the time, like, you don't understand what just happened. I'm telling her. She's like, what? She's like, oh, let me get home first. We'll, dive into this when I get home. Like, calling my family. I'm like, you don't understand, And I'm just telling everybody, because I'm just like trying to make sense of it all. And I think it was like maybe the next day or 2 days or a day later, we're in my room, and it was about 11 o'clock at night, and I'm getting ready for bed, and my girl at the time, she was a bartender, so she would work nights a lot. So she wasn't there, and my dog was there, and he's a pretty big dog, and he's a really good watchdog. So he starts whimpering and starts getting really sketchy and just tripping out. Like he's like, his tail's between his legs. He's like sniffing the window and he's like backing off. I'm like, what's the problem? Somebody out there, and it was the back window to my backyard. And all of a sudden I hear clicking sound. And I hear this clicking sound. And it was just like this. And it was just crisp, clean, very loud, and very high sound that came from high above, and I'm like, and my dog took off, ran in, he just like left me. He's like, screw you, I'm out, like, like this is some crazy stuff. And I'm looking, I'm like, I'm gonna go check it out. And I look, what is that? And I'm looking up the insectoids, and a lot of people said that they click. That's how they communicate or something. They also use telepathy, but they have this kind of clicking language, and that's what's been reported throughout, that's
several cases.
When all that stuff happened, that's I started losing my mind and really just questioning everything and what could be real now. And when I finally accepted it, that's when you really dive down that rabbit hole, and that's when you really just start like, well, if this is real, what about all this stuff? Everything that everybody else is talking about. And it's like, and I lost myself for a while, just going down those rabbit holes, man. It's like, oh man.
But in a way, you found yourself at the same time.
Yeah,
and because family. And the family, and again, from your description, and I'll let Christian or Daniel pipe in here, from the description of when you saw we'll just call it a mantis being for now, over you when you woke up through that cosmic travel experience. You said, "Oh, you're back. I've missed you," is one of the first thoughts that you had. And so then again, reconnecting with a kind of family. And I won't jump too much into that. I'll let you eventually give in what your thoughts are about that. But thank you for that recollection. Those recollections are fantastic. I have a lot of questions about them, but I'll save them for now. Christian, Daniel?
I just wanted to share the two experiences I've had. So first of all was during my channeling experience, I had the entity group I'm in contact with. They came into my body and spoke through my mouth, and I took a back seat. It was a very light, crazy experience. And then also to note, John had sensed it over 2,000 miles away. He's texted me. He's like, hey, like I saw this energy and these beings come into a body. It was like convulsing. Was that you? And I was like, yeah, it was. And so, but the interesting part about it was first thing that they told me to say to my girlfriend, who was freaking out about that during that time, was not to worry, that I was not going to be abducted and taken and never return, and that they were family. Those were the two things. The first of all, I had another experience. So I live in Boise, the river that comes through. So I took a walk on there, and I had this picture of a UFO in my mind, like by a spot I love to go. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to go over there. Nothing was there, but I did see kind of aircraft flying around, which is a little weird, and that never happens around that area. But I could feel them close, like psychically. And I remember, besides the message they said of take care of the planet and environment, like yeah, whatever. But my instinctive feeling to reach out was that I miss you guys and I want to be close, and I wish that could be the case now. And they kind of were like, not right now, but they lovingly went back to like, you do have a assignment here and stuff like that. But there was that longing that just kind of came out.
Did any of the beings at any point through any of your experiences, did they ever divulge any information to you about anything, whether it's regarding you, the world, anything like that, why they're taking you, anything like that?
I wish I could say they told me secrets of the universe. I'm not there yet.
I feel you.
But I mean, I'll tell you one of my other experience that I spoke to one through telepathy. Well, actually, she spoke to me, but it was really the only thing that I can think of that they have shown me, communicated with me about was this time that I was, I would say lucid dreaming, but I feel that it was a vision,
Mhm.
um, because when I was actually doing I was meditating, and when you meditate, you go into that kind of state of
Right.
really just calmness and stuff. And that one time, it came and it started chirping. I can hear it right next to me, and I went into this kind of meditative state to where I think it sort of froze me. It didn't want me to come out of it to see it next to me, so it kept me in that state because I really couldn't back out of it. And I heard this really crazy, intricate chirping sound, clicking, chirping right next to me, and all of a sudden, my when I'm meditating, the colors just started going crazy, and I'm seeing these just crazy colors and sort of wavy, and I'm breaking through these colors, and next thing you know, I'm in like this kind of uh, room, like a white room, and I remember it to where it had these pillars all around in a circle. Sort of, it reminded me of Stonehenge. I don't know why. I just saw it, and it
Mhm.
sort of had the seats, and it had the pillars standing up. And I'm walking into this kind of white room, and and I'm just like looking around, like, what is this? And feel something next to me, and it's telling me to go to the mirror. And there was this large, very just huge, humongous mirror on this pillar. And I'm like, okay. And I stand in front of this mirror, and what's looking back at me is an insect being with red eyes, massive, just really cool looking, like just really just, it was darker green. I mean, it was way different from the one that I've seen. And it was me. It was showing me that that was me. And I took from that is, with all the research that I've done, is that they keep track of their own souls, that they keep track of their souls that come from wherever they come from. Their job is to help us and to guide us into this life until we're ready to cross over to the next life, and be back with them, and to finish our job here, um, and that's Actually, I've read that in so many research things from Linda Moulton Howe and stuff, and how all the abductees have all talked about that. So I mean, that's what I took from that. That's really the only thing that I can. I mean, besides them taking me and showing me the planet, I feel that planet was the planet we came from. Maybe it was showing me my last home, where I'm from and stuff. And um, I mean, so that's what I sort of learned about
Yeah.
through that. But I haven't really had them communicate, directly with me like that. So at
Yeah.
least not yet.
Same. Same. Anything that I've ever had, it's just I know something happened, but I have no recollection of like what actually went down.
I mean, that's what I think where soulmates come from, and we all recognize our soulmate or our soul family,
Right.
and soulmates doesn't always have to be romantic. It could be anything. You could be a
Yeah.
soulmate with a animal, with it really doesn't matter. It's just who you're connected to, and we're always drawn to those people who always you always know they're gonna stay in your life. Like you meet somebody, you're like, you're gonna stay in my life. I don't know why, but we're connected. Like,
Right.
and that's me. That's soul family. And yeah, it's definitely a real thing.
Do you feel like there was a deposit of information? Do you feel like there was a of information that's in your mind or in your body or in your essence that you can't unlock yet? Or do you think that it was in order to open up your perspective for you to start having kind of shifting your paradigm, or was it both?
Uh, you're the first person that's asked that. Like nobody asked these questions. Yes, yes. I mean, I don't bring this stuff up because I just feel like I'm like saying some weird stuff that I can do certain things or I'm able to do things. But I can. Yeah. When that happened, it opened up something in me to where it expanded. I don't know, expanded my mind or uh, whatever it did. My meditation when I go in, it's very easy for me to connect to my soul now. Like I can astral plane when I want to, and I haven't done it in a while because it scared the crap out of me because I went pretty far and you start thinking like, what if I can't get back? Like and then you're also out there with other entities. I mean, you're not
Right.
alone.
Hmm.
You're out there among the whatever dimension between here and there. I don't know. Like you're in the in between,
Mhm.
and you don't know what you're gonna bring back. And that when I found that out, that I've had some negative experiences. I was like, okay, maybe I need to back off on this a little bit, and sort of research it more. And so I haven't really been doing it a lot lately, but yeah, I would get when I meditate, I get downloads, and I don't understand what they are because I see a lot of glyphs and flashes of geometric imagery and just crazy looking writing that actually sort of reminds me of Viking writing. I don't know how to really, or just that kind of weird kind of writing. It was just very weird. Like I would have all these flashes and these crazy geometric, symbols and stuff, and it would just go away. And I never really understood it. But what was weird is after that, I just started understanding a lot more stuff. Things started coming to me a lot easier. I would think of things, and the next day I would see it on TV. Like scientists discovered. It's like, oh yeah, well, I
Duh.
knew that
Right.
already. Yeah, it's like, like, wait a minute, how did I know that? But I think things are sort of I'm able to figure things out a lot easier now. So yeah, I think that it definitely expanded my mind to accept what's going on because I feel that they don't expose themselves to us at a very young. I mean, they do, but they take your memory. I mean, I have a lot
Yep.
of missing memory, a lot of missing memory, from when I was growing up and stuff. And I think they don't really tell you because it's sort of, I think it would damage a younger person, to have all this craziness happening to them, And so I think that's why you're allowed to forget or they make you forget until you're ready. And I think that time is when I decided, like, I'm ready. Like, I'm ready to understand this. And I'm not scared. I had no fear, And I think the fear is what really holds a lot of people back.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
You know,
for
it
sure.
blocks you. Yeah. And once you get rid of that, they know that you're ready to understand and ready to accept. Then they'll come to you. And I mean, doesn't that sound like religion? Doesn't that sound like the Bible? You know, like doesn't that sound like? Because I always say stuff like that. It's like, yeah, it sounds like I'm preaching, you know, but it's really it is what it is. It's, you know, I think that's where all this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, then you have the religious connotations where they have a dogmatic framework which eventually gets corrupted, and then they utilize that for power and gain. And then you have all these religions that have elements of truth, and
Yeah.
reasons why they have certain things are a certain way, but they've been corrupted. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I want to say, like, your description of like getting information that's just kind of there, and then having this general better knowing about certain things and just kind of are just in your subconscious. That was my experience. Has been my experiences as well. I know we've all had various experiences that way, but that's something that I can definitely relate with, and it's frustrating, but it's also being being willing to just accept it and just be like, all right,
Yeah.
cool. This is what I'm tasked with. I'm just going to trust the process and be in
Exactly.
connection with them, because I think there's a lot more interaction going on that we understand. And John last fall brought up that they're probably in it.
If
They
we
are.
can, if we can imagine what they're doing, how they're communicating with us consciously, then you got to know that they're communicating with us subconsciously.
Mhm,
And that's really, I think, where the answer lies,
mhm.
is because a lot of times they're important information or important things that we have that have gone through our lives and stuff. Sure, they may be in our conscious mind all the time, but the direct impacts are often lost in our subconscious. And
Yeah.
so, if they can access one, then they can access all, and we can access that a lot too. So, I just wanted to go ahead and say that even though we're having an interview here, it's good that we're hearing your experiences, not story, your experiences, because all of us here on this panel right now have had certain, I wouldn't even say coincidences, but just to back up some of your experiences. So myself, one night I was getting ready for bed, and I just kind of opened my thoughts to the entity group that I'm in contact with, that say, and people can take this for what they will, I'm not trying to sell anybody on this stuff, that said that they have helped us in the past in the Mexican region. Okay, so they said that they've worked with the Mayans and the Aztecs and stuff like that in the past. Okay, but that's beside the point. And I was like, I want to see you tonight. I want to can you show me something? Can I join you somewhere? Can I see? And I said, if not, it's no big deal. And I went and I laid back down. I'm laying in the bed and closed my eyes. And I don't even feel like I even had the time to get into the hypnagogic state. It was all of a sudden, as you mentioned, you're seeing all these colors, bam, 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 bam,
Mhm.
bam. Behind your eyes, you're seeing through your eyelids. That's how
Yes.
I, yes, okay. You're not seeing the black of behind your eyelids. You're
No.
seeing through it. Okay. And so there's all these flashes of light. And then the next thing I know is I'm zooming through some kind of like forest area. Okay, can't tell if it's Earth or not. I'm just thinking it's Earth. I mean, this stuff is just happening. Bam, 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 bam.
Right.
And then I see this desert. Okay, it looks like a deserty region. Okay. Next thing you know, I feel like my body's laying on this slab. I wouldn't say it's a table, just a slab. And I can feel this kind of like this encasing over me. And I'm trying to get out of it. Okay. And I hadn't watched, Travis Walton's Fire in the Sky, which is not a um, direct account of his actual experience. But, I didn't feel like I was through that film, but I did. So the movie didn't have any influence. And so I'm trying to tear through it. And I'm starting to freak out. And I'm going, well, you know what? I asked for this. Why am I freaking out? Right.
Mhm.
And then I sensed that my fiance was there next to me. And I just kind of like thought, could you help me out of this? And she did. And I got up. And it wasn't white. Where I was at was not white like yours was. But her and I are kind of just wandering, and it's kind of dark and it's kind of misty. And there was this light that's above us that isn't stationary. When we move, it goes along with us. And wouldn't you know, we came upon a pillar. Okay. Came upon a pillar. But this pillar was kind of levitating. It wasn't stuck to the ground, right? And there was no mirror on it. But what was interesting though is we're trying to, is that like a pillar? And we're talking to each other. And she says, yeah. And then we noticed this, it looks like a hologram or a window or something like that. But you look like you could like actually like see through it. Okay.
Yeah.
And it was this deserty region with dwellings carved into the side of a cliff or a mountain. And then there were these steps that were leading up that were past that. And so we started walking towards the steps, and then I woke up. And so I woke up my fiance, and I was like, did you experience what I experienced? She said, I don't know what you're talking about. But she says, when I described it, she said, gosh, I feel like I was there. I just don't have any recollection of it.
Right.
So when you mentioned pillar, okay, that's something that, even though yours had a mirror on it, that's something that correlates with one of my experiences, right? And it was always, I kind of always took it as, because I asked my group, is that how you are able to consciously like go from one point to the next in the universe? And then they started bringing up like toroidal fields and all kinds of things, which sounds a lot like the wormholes or what you were going through the tubes from that beautiful sounding planet, which I do agree. I guess what you had said is that you feel like that was home or a previous home. Yeah. And one of the questions that I thought of immediately when I heard you recount that on another podcast was this. And so I wanted to ask you, you said that there was a lot of static and there was a lot of hum. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like perhaps that was the collective hum of that species of mantids that you were once a part of? Because that's kind of something I always ponder too. Like, Earth, we have a lot of our transmissions and like our TV shows of the honeymooners are still going throughout the universe, right?
Yeah.
And then of course planets have their own vibration, their own hum. But the first thing that came to my mind when I heard you say that was, I wonder if Anthony's ever thought about that being the collective consciousness of the inhabitants of that planet, which was probably previously his home. Have you ever considered
Never thought of that. I've never thought of it that way. And actually thinking of that way sounds nice. Yeah. Sounds very
right.
comforting. Yeah.
Right. So I'm just kind of curious, and then another question I had is, did you ever, because you woke up, you said you looked at the phone and it was on the pillow next to you, okay, after that wild experience. And then you felt the being above you, the mantis being above you.
Well, I saw him in my phone. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it in your phone. Sorry, the reflection. When you first saw that, did you have any feeling or concern? I mean, it's just natural of, because you had mentioned your daughter, and what thing that brought you back was, oh man, what kind of father am I? My daughter's there by herself. Did you ever wonder if they were watching over her while you had that experience, or were you ever just even like slightly, just for a nanosecond, worried that you had left her in the house with that? I mean,
at the end when I was getting closer to the light, that's when she popped in my head. Mm-hmm. To be like, oh wait, hold on, I'm going too far.
Right.
But yeah. I really don't feel like that. I don't have a fear at all from them. Mm-hmm. I don't fear that they're going to do anything with my daughter. I know they're interested in her. They've told me, which I'll tell you about. I just don't have that fear with that. Maybe, it's just sort of family. Like they're watching over us. I mean, they always bring us back. We've been taken many times.
We're pioneering the world's most expansive, phenomenon-based database and research platform. Imagine a single gateway that harnesses the collective intelligence of our world. A portal that compiles every encounter, every academic study, and the full spectrum of data concerning remarkable phenomena. Meticulously curated and interconnected through advanced artificial intelligence, our platform transforms scattered information across the web and in physical print into a cohesive matrix of knowledge. Paradocs aims to bring all this content into one searchable, dynamic database. We're not only hosting the world's largest collection of phenomenon-related content, but also helping empower our users to find critical connections between diverse topics, from UFOs and alien abductions to near-death experiences and reincarnation reports.
And so I really just don't. And in the story I'm about to tell you, they asked us if we wanted to go. And to me, a superior being that's able to transcend time and space and do all this stuff really cares about such a creatures like us, of our feelings. That really says something to me.
Yes.
That they do care about our feelings, and just
Mhm.
asking shows that. And get into my other story.
Sure.
This happened in 2020. Uh, I'm living in Fullerton, California now. So it was a night. I was actually sleeping this time, and being a parent, uh, you sleep light. You always are aware of things. Wake up easily. Protecting your kid. And I had my daughter next to me, and at this time, I think she was 5 years old. Going on 6, probably right around there. I wake up to something on the bed, and I could feel something at the foot of the bed, and I'm like, "The heck is that?" And I look, and I thought it was like our dog, but it was with my mom at the time. I was staying with my mom at the time. I look, and it's a very large insect, mantis. I didn't see the face, which I'll tell you why in a minute, but it was as big as a dog, like probably a Labrador dog. It had 6 legs, very insect-like, and it was sitting at the edge of my bed, and it was wearing. I know it sounds weird, but this is what happened. It was wearing a burlap, like those old burlap potato sacks, over its head, with a drawing of an insect face, kind of friendly, like cartoonish and kid-like. And it was over the head, and it ran around my fan, and I remember it running so fast, and the legs spread out, and it was the legs were on my bed and on the wall at the same time, and it sort of went around and it came up next to me, and I'm just all like, whoa. And I look, and it had claws, and I'm just sort of like touched the claw, I'm just all like, whoa, like it's shaking my hand. I don't understand, like, and then all of a sudden I see this white light open up, and a portal opens where my door is to my room, and this I can only describe him as like a humanoid hybrid kind of being, like, and he really looked Japanese, like very very Japanese. The eyes were very very big, but not crazy big, black, and he had a black bowl haircut, like Mo from the Three Stooges kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
haircut, kind of just sort of simple, nothing crazy. He's very tall, very light complected, perfect skin. I mean, I remember just looking at it like that's perfect. Like he just doesn't look like a real person. And he sits down, and the way he glided over too, thinking about it, like he was very just sort of just glide over. I don't remember him like just walking, it was
Right.
just sort of he was there, and he sits down next to us, and at this time, my daughter's still sleeping, and he looks at me, and he's like, "May I?" And he puts his hand over her chest, and I was like, "Okay," and he puts it on, and he closes his eyes, he looks up, and then he looks at me, and then she wakes up, and he's like, and he looks at her, he goes, "Do you want to come with us?" And I looked at her, and she looked at me. She's all like, "What's going on?" But she wasn't scared. She had no fear. She didn't start crying. She didn't start like freaking out. She just like looked at me, wiped her eyes. She's like, "Okay," and I'm like, "Let's go." And next thing you know it, I'm opening my eyes, standing up, and I'm in this dark room. And there's this open door. It was already open. And I remember walking through, and then it was all lit, and it was this large room that what was crazy about it is the metal that was part of this room, it was seamless. It looked like liquid metal,
Hmm.
and liquid metal, it looked like it came out of the kind of it was a winding walkway. Okay, and this liquid metal sort of swooped up out of the ground, and it was sort of like the railing for this kind of walkway. And there was no rivets. There was no. I don't remember seeing anything that was like seams or anything. It was just very smooth, and it was everywhere. And it was just sort of light in there. I didn't see any kind of sources of light. It was just light.
Atmospheric.
Yeah, it was just weird,
It's like coming from the walls or something like that.
Yeah, it was, yeah, because the metal had a kind of a shimmer to it too, so it looked wet.
Mhm.
I remember like not wanting to touch it because I felt like it was wet, and it sort of reminded me of mercury. And on the steps, so the railing went, and then there was an opening, and it stepped down into a sunken room a little bit. And in the room, which is wide open, they had people, other humans, sitting down on these chairs, which to me it looked like they were floating. I couldn't really see what was under them, but to me it looked like they were just sort of just floating up there. I don't know. I couldn't see anything else, but um, and then there was the same hybrid doctor that came and saw me. They all looked the same. They're all like, I don't know, they all look the same, and they all
Like
wearing kind of
clones.
yeah, like doctors jackets, and they were white, just sort of looked like doctors to me, and they were holding some kind of pad, and they were asking, looked like they were interacting with the humans. And I'm just all like, where, I'm looking down, I'm in a gown, and I'm like, where am I? Like, I'm just like, whoa, like taking it all in. I'm walking past, and I'm sort of checking that out. And I walk past that part, and next thing you know, I see this girl come out of this wall. And I think it was just my point of view. I really couldn't see where she came out of, but it looked like she came out of the wall. But she comes and she turns, she starts walking towards me, and this woman was the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life. Like, I've never ever seen anybody so perfect before. Like, her hair glowed. It was so blonde and so like kind of blonde, platinum blondish, but it had kind of this kind of really just faint glow to it. And her eyes were huge. And she reminded me of those little dolls. They're called the Brats.
Yes.
The big old eyes, and they were like colorful eyes and everything, it's for kids and stuff.
Mhm.
That's what she reminded me of. Like, she reminded me of these massive eyes, but her eyes were so beautiful. They were just this dark kind of blue, kind of deep crystal dark blue. I don't even know what kind of blue it was, but it was just so deep. And her around the eye pupils were white like ours. And she just had these massive eyes, and her skin was just perfect, perfect. And she was wearing a skin tight blue suit, just skin tight, so you could see everything. And she turned and she was walking away from me. I thought she was absolutely gorgeous. I'm like, checking out her butt. Like, I did. I was like, oh my god, like, she's beautiful. Like, oh my god, and I'm just like stunned. And she's probably about 10 feet away from me. She turns around, looks at me, and I hear a giggle in my head, like she was right in front of me, and she goes, "Thank you, darling." And she just had this sweet giggle and turned around and walked away. I was blown away when I heard her voice in my head so clear, like it was right in front of me, and I was just like, what, what was that? Like, so I turn away, and I'm like embarrassed,
Mhm.
and I see this room, and I'm looking in this window, and there's these baby hybrid alien babies crawling around. Cute. I mean, some of them look more alien than others. Others look a lot human-like. And I'm just like, it's a nursery? It's an alien nursery? I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, this is real? I'm just like, just looking at it, and I'm just like, what? And I go over to the next window, and it was a long window, and I'm looking out it, and the sky's red. Everything's red, like dark crimson red type sky. And I'm in these caverns. So I'm not cavern. It's they look like stalagmites that sort of grew out of the ground, and these mountains, but they're mountains, and they were sharp, and they formed together. They went like this, and there was an opening, but it was all open on top, but it was a sort of an opening, and you see these mountains come together, and you can see the red sky, and you can see the below, which I was really high up, and I think I was on one of these stalagmites in this pod I was in,
Hmm.
and you can see the ground. It was all orange, kind of yellowish orange sand. It had these kind of weird domes all around, and I could see very, very tall, very white kind of things walking around. Like, it was like a regular Monday morning, type shit. It was just like they're all just going about their day. and
Mm.
I see these pods that are stuck in the mountains. These white egg-looking pods, and that's what I believe I was in. I was in the ones. I was looking at other pods that I was in. I was just trying to take it all in, like, oh my god, like I'm on another planet, like this is crazy. And I'm looking, and I look at the door where I came from, because now I'm facing where I came from, and I hear this sound, this voice in my head saying, "Return to where you came from." And I woke up, and I got up, and I'm like, "Whoa!" Like that was crazy, and probably like 30 seconds later, Kaylee wakes up, my daughter, and she's looking at me, and she goes, "Dad, I had the craziest dream." She goes, "I was meeting all kinds of, we had like these monsters, but they were really nice to me, and they're telling me all this stuff." I was like, "What? Oh my gosh!" Like, I was like, "Oh my god, tell me about it." She's telling me about the insect.
And I want to tell the viewers that are watching this that there's a certain mind frame of people, and one of you viewers may be that, to where kids, they make up the craziest stories. I can hear it now. Kids, they make up the craziest stories. But as Bill Cosby used to show decades upon decades ago, while they say the darndest things, they're often the most honest, especially when
Oh
it
yeah,
comes to adult figures of authority, like a father. Okay,
yeah,
of exactly what they saw, exactly what they experienced, exactly how they feel about it. And it sounds like you have a very good bond with your daughter. So I'm
oh
going to go
yeah,
ahead and say that backs up that she was telling you the truth. And again, it was, even though she was way younger than you, okay,
hmm
she's still corroborating the experience.
oh yeah,
And so this is not, to me, this is not a child with a wild imagination, nor
right,
a
yeah,
father for that matter with a large imagination. That
yeah,
this confirms that there actually was something there. And I do think that a lot of these experiences were easily more um, able to go into them or be brought into them when we're in our sleep state, or right when we become conscious, whether it be another entity that says, "Hey, got something to show you," or whether you, like mine, you just kind of fall asleep and then bam, there you are. It's
right.
and so that shared experience, that's pretty amazing, Anthony. That's a really good.
With her, she's always told me, since she was able to talk. She's always told me. I mean, it was the first was Spider-Man in her closet. She would always say, "Daddy, Spider-Man's in my closet." I'm like, "How do you know about Spider-Man?" Like, I don't have Spider-Man things, around the
Right.
house. I mean, yeah, I don't watch it all the time. I'm more Dragon Ball Z type stuff. That's more me. But Spider-Man's like, and she would, from 1.5 to what, 4 years old, she was all about Spider-Man, and she would always tell me, "Spider-Man's in my closet. Spider-Man's in my closet." And she would tell her mom, the praying mantises don't, they're our friends, like she would pick up one and be playing with it, and she's like, daughter was playing with insects, and but she was telling me not to be afraid of it, and that they're our friends, she goes, why is she saying stuff like that, and then I told her about what happened to us, and she's like, oh, and um, I'm
I'm
very
curious.
lucky her mom, you know, believed me on a lot of this stuff, and things happened to her
Mm.
too.
I did have a question based on the woman that you saw, because it sounded eerily similar to like the weird hybrid like woman that I saw, except her hair wasn't glowing platinum. This one. Um, I'm going to share my screen real quick. So, yeah, if you zoom in, her eyes were like big. Like, I don't know if you
Right.
see me moving the mouse. I don't know if that looks similar. This is actually a picture from a movie called Alita, but they gave her
Great
kind of
movie.
like anime eyes, which were like bigger than normal. And I was wondering if it looks similar like that because you mentioned the brat stalls. So I was curious.
Right. Okay, so the one with the purple hair right here and the kind of
Yeah.
bluish. Okay, so that the way how they go up like that, that's how it was. But the one in the middle right here, how big they are. So put those two
Hmm.
together, and you
Yeah.
get the size, how big it was compared to
Hmm.
the face. But the shape
Right.
of that is more like the one in the purple hair, like that kind of
Right.
shape, but really
Yeah.
high up. Blue, just so blue. I will never forget that blue. It was amazing. What color? I mean, but
Yeah.
it looked like you
And
get lost in it. It's
perfect.
crazy.
Yeah, because I just wanted to get a bunch of pictures that anything that could come remotely close to what I saw. You know what I mean? Just to kind of
Yeah,
show people. But yeah, but yeah, that's interesting.
Anthony,
yeah,
since you've had these experiences, you said you've done some research independently on your own, and I'm sure you've come across what's been described as the tall Nordics, or not tall white as in like grays, but the tall Nordics with their blonde hair. Usually they're seen wearing a blue suit, very skin
mhm.
tight, beautiful, maybe even slightly taller than we are. Does it? Have you found a lot of correlations between like that experience that you just explained and what other experiences have written in books and talked
Yes,
about?
I have. I mean, just them being perfect. Um, the way their skin is, it's not like blemishy, or it doesn't have the like the imperfections that we have. It's just perfect. They look like plastic, like how perfect it was, but just very beautiful. Um, so I mean, I've read about that, how perfect they are, how nice they are. I mean, I really didn't even know about any. I mean, growing up, all I ever knew about was the Greys. You mean
Sure.
all in all the
Yeah.
movies? I mean, this whole thing with the insectoids and everything really just opened my mind up to all kinds of stuff. It's like, wow, there's more out there than I even thought about.
Well,
Um,
the reason why I ask too is because we have a interview scheduled with a experiencer. Her name is Miriam Delicato, and she's written this book. I'm going to go ahead and do a shameful plug. It's called The Blue Star Prophecy. She recounts a lot of her experiences with that same entity group, which she calls the Tall Blondes. So I don't know if you've ever heard anything about that, but
yeah, I'll definitely
you
look
might
that
want
up.
to check that out because
Yeah,
it's
Platinum
all about
hair also.
prophecy. Yes, blonde platinum. Well, platinum's a kind of blondish
Blonde.
tone.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was just curious if you had come across her. So shout out to Miriam. Sorry about that. Just wanted to go ahead and do the plug. But there is but hers and stories from many others about the tall blondes or Nordics. Just as like there are a lot of experiencers that talk about the mantis beings.
yeah,
So what it seems like is that we have is possibly, and I wonder if you've considered this. Surely you have, but I want to ask is that there's some kind of that they help each other, they work with
mhm,
each other, they will have the same contact with the same humans, and if this is happening on Earth, it's happening everywhere else too, by the way.
right.
you know um, so they're like in league, I guess you could say, even though that maybe have
Yes.
a negative connotation.
Same agenda, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like agenda. It sounds so negative,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
It
What's
does.
the agenda with the humans? No, just kind of like, there's a process of trying to help us through. There you go. That's much
Right.
better.
I
So
like that better.
yeah, so you have contemplated that as well. Have you ever seen the mantis beings and the tall blondes at the same time?
Not at the same time. The blonde that I saw was at the facility, and
Hmm.
the insectoid being was with the hybrid
Hmm.
doctor. That so, but I know they do all communicate, and they all have their own thing that they're doing together. Whatever it is. It's definitely in the genetics, though. Uh,
Mm.
knowing, like, so talking to my um, ex baby mama about all this, and all the stuff that was happening. She found out a lot of stuff about her. Turns out that she's Mayan, and her family bloodline is actually pretty prominent in the Mayan culture and stuff. So I remember talking to her dad, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we are Mayan blood, and it's our family is like very special and all this stuff." And I'm like, "That's crazy," because to me, I feel that they got us together and to have our daughter, because we're both O. I'm O negative. She's O positive. So so like, my mom's O positive. I'm a O negative. Like there's all kinds of weird correlations to where they put us together, because after we had our daughter, I really we sort of fell out of love with each other together mutually, and we came to this decision just to co-parent and just to be friends, and it was just sort of very easy and very just sort of I don't know why, I just don't have those feelings for you anymore, after our daughter was born. And she was the exact same way. She's like, we were so in love, and all of a sudden it was just sort of like and now learning everything that's happened, I feel that they brought us together and to strengthen this bloodline they're have some kind of thing with. I don't know, because I know they're into genetics, and
Mhm.
yeah. So I mean, who knows? Maybe we're matched up with certain people for certain reasons. That we just don't know
Yeah.
about.
I,
I believe
I
they're doing that.
I was looking into, and I don't have enough to say on it. It's just inklings and pieces that I'm finding elsewhere. But there seems to be some weird correlation with the Rh negative bloodlines that they don't know where it kind of came from. They even have a
Right.
place off in Spain where this entire community is just Rh negative, and it's just strange. So again, I don't have much research to like really like spit out and say, but I think that
Oh,
there is something to it. I'm also Rh negative, so it's like
yeah. There's definitely a
it's like
correlation with all of it.
yeah,
Definitely.
it's weird.
I mean, I've heard there's blood types that are just so like off the charts. The gold blood, or something. It's like all these crazy little tribes that live by themselves. They have this
Hmm.
weird
Mm,
blood, that's like they don't know where it came from and stuff. It's like we all
yeah,
know where it came from. Main,
yeah,
main scientists don't want to admit it, but we know.
yeah. I think there's something to that, and I think that's why they do it for various reasons and stuff. So I
Yeah,
agree with you.
definitely.
I look at it this way: if we do it to other
Yeah,
creatures, then it can be done to us. And it's like the argument. Well, there's no alien life that's visiting us.
yeah.
There are no aliens. And I look at it this way, and I'm like, okay, all right. We finally got him to say, oh yeah, well, there's life in the universe. It's too far away though.
It's too far away. Yeah,
They always want to make sure that you feel like you're alone, right?
yeah,
Well, they're always so far away, and it's probably little microbes, nothing,
yeah,
something that we would just step on and not even notice, right?
yeah.
But it's the whole thing of like, well, there are no aliens; they wouldn't be visiting us. I'm like, okay, you do realize that even with our limited, quote unquote, known technology, that is, without black projects and stuff, we have satellites like Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 that are
Hmm.
going out farther than we as humans know that we've been. Those are
Hmm.
alien. Those are
Yeah,
alien. They're created by our civilization and sent out into the universe.
yeah.
The
So they're
Mars
aliens.
rover, right? The Mars rover, the lunar lander, all that stuff is alien.
That's
So,
funny. I always say
you
that.
know, humans walked the moon. Okay,
We're
there's some debate
aliens.
about that. Some debate about that. We're aliens. Thank you. And so, if
Yeah,
there's another civilization, they don't have to be close. They
yeah.
don't have to be close. If we've done it, a civilization that's 100,000 years, heck, 1,000, I don't know. It all depends on the civilization.
Millions. Uh,
Could be here as well and be able to get here easily without
oh yeah,
Elon Musk rocket fuel. So I
yeah,
mean, come on, let's expand our minds, and I think that's part of the reason why that they're having so much more contact with us as well, is because we're getting to the point to where we need to have a. I'm thinking the evolution isn't going here; it's going to
mhm,
be here.
right.
Then they're
Spiritual.
trying to help us in that evolution. So,
Yeah.
and Anthony, I
Mm.
think that your daughter, most certainly, your daughter is going to be playing a part in that
Oh,
evolutionary
yeah, I
process.
think so. She's very smart, very intuitive. I mean, she has gifts. I mean, she knows when you're upset. She's very empathic. It's very scary. Some of the times I can't hide anything from her, but it's definitely she's special. She's definitely special. And yeah, they're interested. So
Do you feel like there's something coming? Do you feel like there's a shift coming? Do you feel like there's something that the NHI groups that we're all having interactions with, that they're trying to help propel and propagate like a big shift?
there's definitely a spiritual warfare going on right now. Um, as you know, we're all energy. We all throw out energy all the time. I mean, your whatever thoughts you have is energy, positive or negative.
Mm,
That energy can actually change our reality, and if there's enough negativity, it can throw our this whole world into a lower dimension. We shift, and we're constantly shifting. So I think the beings that run this our planet, our existence, are negative force.
mm,
That's why we're always bombarded with negativity. Everything's negative.
Mhm.
You know, our music, our movies, you know, even
Mhm.
commercials, you know, everything's negative. The news throws negativity at you. It's never positive, you know, and they're feeding off us. So I feel that energy that we throw out, we can change, you know, and it would definitely, if we had more positive energy, it would shift us into a higher vibration and everything will get better. And that's just the reality of it, you know. And they keep us on this negative energy, you know, whole thing, and it just keeps sinking us deeper, deeper into a lower vibration. So there's definitely NHIs, that, you know, that are trying to raise our energy and try to raise our consciousness and getting us as light bringers, you know, the ones who are bringing knowledge to everybody and sharing our experiences and showing them there's other ways to look at things, there's other perspectives. I think that helps moves us into the right direction, you know, to get this information out and to show, you know, whatever you think and whatever, you know, that does have a consequence, you know. I just always say be kind. You know, just be kind, you know, like always choose kindness over anything bad, you know.
Right.
But I definitely think that, yeah.
All we have to do is just be able to extend an arm and a hand to our neighbor, and this is one
Right.
way to do it, man. And so, yeah, most definitely, and that's why we're together. That's why we formed. Was not for YouTube fame. Oh man, I'm gonna get 6 million
Yeah.
subscribers. That'd be great. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not gonna complain about it, but
Yeah.
we're here to have people like yourself and people that are involved in the community be able to talk about their experiences, their research, and getting down to the bottom of it all. It's at least trying to. I don't think we ever will be, but again, we all
Yeah,
have
right.
pieces to the puzzle that we can bring to the table to help complete more of a overall picture. Definitely bring that with you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I like doing these interviews, talking about it, and make sure I talk to my friends and I talk their ears off, man. I had a friend over here last night, and he was just all like, "I gotta go home, bro." Like, yeah, I'm just like, he was like, you know, in his ear, he's like, "I can't handle this anymore," you know. I'm like, all right, well, next, you know.
If you need to chat us anytime, just yeah, we'll give you our contact info and stuff like that for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
we get into it.
Definitely have my mom when they come
We get
down.
into it every day. We talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
And you're always welcome back, man. You're always welcome back,
Thank you.
and we hope you feel like that you have a second home here to
Yeah,
talk about your continuing experiences. And please, I mean, by all means, keep us updated on things. And it was a
yeah,
real pleasure
definitely.
to have you on here, man.
So Anthony, if people are wanting to find you, get in contact with you, where's the best place to do that?
I guess on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, the visited. I really don't have anywhere else they can email me at chops 5150 at Gmail and just get a hold of me that way. And I definitely answer. I always answer, you know, all my videos. If anybody, you know, comments and stuff and has questions, I'm always answering. I'll contact them, whatever. I like answering questions, even if they're tough ones. You know, people don't believe me and stuff like that. I want all that criticism come out. You know, I want to, you know, I'm good with it. You know, if you don't believe, great, fine. All I can do is tell you my story. I've seen so many UFOs; they're always around me. I even
Cool.
had one call me out of my house, and I caught it on video. It's on my channel.
Oh
I have
wow.
about 40,
Awesome.
I have about 40 minutes of it, and it was right over my tree. It was a sphere, and it was crazy because I had that kind of ringing in my ear, but it was different,
Mm.
and I had this crazy feeling that I had to run outside, and I ran outside. This is in Fullerton, and I just looked straight up to it, you know, like look, boom, up, and it was right there over the tree, and it was just a silver orb, and it was just right there, and I was like, whoa, you know, and I ran back in because I didn't have my phone, and like, man, I got it, and I'm all recording and stuff, and on the phone it looks so much further away than it was. It wasn't. And
Mm.
it starts moving up, and it was just like there, and it was moving around and zigzag a couple of times. But I have like 4 videos, about 17 minutes each.
Okay, and they're
Um,
posted on your channel.
they're on my channel, so you can check that out. And at one point, some people were saying it's dropping something. And I was like, wow.
Mhm.
But
That's a shame.
yeah. So I
Right.
mean, I've seen fireballs. I've seen okay. I mean, I've had lights above me when I was parked, um, waiting at a stoplight or at a stop sign, and all these lights came around me. And I was like, what? You know, and not even kidding, I had about an hour missing time because to me, everything was fine. I just looked up at the lights and I remember like, okay, started driving again. And my girlfriend at the time was all like, where you been? I was like, I just at my mom's house right down the street. She goes, you've been gone for over 2 hours. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you're wrong. I don't know what you're talking about. You're pregnant and you're having some pregnant brain. I go, I don't know. I just went there. I was only gone for like a half hour. She's like, you were gone for 2 hours. I'm like, where'd you go? I'm like, what?
Mm.
And that was,
Very
I was like,
common.
I was like 18, 19 at that time, or 19. So all kinds of weird stuff like that's always happened.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
we'll definitely check out those videos, and I suggest anybody that's viewing this, go ahead and check out Anthony's channel, which again, descriptions will be down below, and give him a follow. Like, subscribe his stuff. Hey, you know what? Good idea. Do the same thing for Cosmic Convergence. We're trying to grow here. Like, share, and subscribe, and join us every week on Friday. We'll have an episode out and published, and we appreciate each and every one of you. We deeply appreciate you, Anthony, for spending this time with us. It's invaluable, and I know that I took away a lot of great insights and experiences from this. So, again, love you, brother. You're welcome anytime.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Bad monkey.